Here is an explanation for the answer to final exam question number 75 in Electronics Demystified, 2nd edition. If you have the printed book, you'll find it on page 433, along with figure exam-12, which is reproduced here. This is a graphical representation of a particular type of pulse modulation. Pulse modulation can be done in various ways. Notice here the input analog waveform, this heavy dotted line. As the amplitude of that waveform increases, notice that the pulse width or the pulse duration also increases. So the greater the amplitude of the analog input signal, the wider or longer these pulses are. This can be called two different things. It can be called pulse width modulation, or PWM, or it can also be called pulse duration modulation, PDM. Well, if we look through our repertoire of choices, we find that choice C, pulse width modulation, corresponds to the first of those two definitions here, pulse width modulation. Now, pulse width modulation can also be done in reverse. That is to say, as the amplitude increases of the analog input waveform, the pulses get narrower or shorter. That would be a negative pulse width modulation. What we see here is positive pulse width modulation. So that's the answer here. The other choices are perfectly, well, pulse frequency modulation, choice E, there really is no such thing. But choices A, B, C, and D are all discussed in this book. Pulse modulation can be done in any of those four ways, but not pulse frequency modulation. I've never heard of that. But anyway, the correct answer to this question, C, pulse width modulation.